Welcome to Naturally Off Topic, a podcast where we discuss legends, theories, crimes, and more. I'm Mariah.
And I'm Megan, and today we are discussing the Freemasons of Portugal. Picture this, Mariah. The Quinta da Regaleira, a sprawling, enigmatic estate near Lisbon, Portugal, mind you, where winding paths lead to hidden chambers, which is true, and the legendary initiation well descends into the earth like a portal into another realm. And I can actually attest to this. It was gorgeous because I was there. It was built by a Freemason. The estate brims with pagan and occult symbols, each whispering tales of secrecy and power. And if you remember from previous episodes in this podcast, we covered the one and only Krampus, which was also said to hold pagan symbolism in his legend and story. So, kind of ironic, we're covering this topic.
Not Krampus again.
Today, we're going to unravel the fascinating mysteries of Freemasonry and the connection to Portugal, a land where history, architecture, and intrigue are covered and brought together. And that's the story. Goodbye.
That's a wrap. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Oh,
Also, nice subtle flex where you're like, and I would know because I was there.
I know. So,
Bitch.
So enough storytelling for a hot minute. So why we're covering this topic, really is because I actually did go to the Quinta da Regaleira, as Mariah so humbly put it for me. And so that was a really good experience because I was actually at this place and I learned that it was built by Freemasons. And part of the reason why I wanted to cover this topic today, other than the fact that I can say I did firsthand research because I was there, was because in a following episode, we are unraveling mysteries around the Illuminati, and there are historical connections of Freemasonry and the Illuminati. So why wouldn't I just want to go full-fledged and find out the history of everything? Because I'm a psychopath, and all I want to do is research.
I've actually been so intrigued in what the fuck Freemasonry is ever since I was in college when I had a friend who he and his father was a part of it, and they refused to tell me anything about it. All they said was it was a club for guys. That's all you got to know about it. And I said it sounds like a cult, and I kid you not, his dad was beyond pissed that I said that. He was so offended. I thought he was going to kick me out of the house right then and there. But I was like, sorry, you can't tell me what it is. It's for specifically men. It's a secret group. You have an initiation process and you have meetings. What else is that?
Yeah, no, seriously. And actually, since I started diving into this world of Freemasonry and the Illuminati, which, like I said, we're going to cover in a later episode, I've actually first-handedly asked people. So I asked my own boyfriend, I said, and he had asked me, what do you think it is? I'm like, I think it's like a club of guys who just get together and they have one similar belief system. And my sister described it as a frat. Whereas Scott brought it back and was like, well, where do you think these people get their money if their occupation is Freemasonry? So then it kind of got me to question, really, what are they and what are they doing? Because that's true. Because to me, that sounds more like a gang or like a mob or something, or the mafia, a group that is an organization that does some sketchy shit in order to get money and power.
That makes me wonder, what is the difference between a club and a gang and a cult? Isn't cult religious? I think that's the difference. And a club is a hobby, and then a gang is money.
Well, I also think it has to do with the ranking system. So in a cult, typically one leader leads a group that are focused on this one
so they're
belief,
not a cult.
you know?
Yeah,
right.
I don't think I don't know. I didn't research it, so
so we'll get into it. So,
I was just gonna say, I'm saying going into this because I don't know the information. I would then say, okay, it's probably not a cult. It's probably I don't feel like it's a club though either, because I feel like clubs are like for little nerds. And
Yeah,
I would love a club, but like when you say, "Oh yeah, it's just a club," it sounds kind of,
kind of a little sketchy.
anticlimactic. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
no,
this
it
big
does.
serious
It makes
place
me
is a
think of
club.
like it makes me think of like elementary school,
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to like photography club.
Yes, exactly. I was in like a dance club.
I fucking love it. So,
Anyway,
anyway, so getting into it, part 1 of my research. What are the Freemasons? And I know that's the question you literally just asked, and maybe I'll give you an answer. Just kidding. I'll
wow.
give you the answer. So, Freemasons allegedly can be seen in my research as connecting anywhere from our national's capital to murder. And it's actually been shrouded in centuries of mystery and known as the world's oldest fraternal organization.
So it is a frat.
Basically. So, but who are the Freemasons and what do they stand for? The group began during the Middle Ages in Europe as a guild of skilled builders. So, if we take a look at history, we have the stonemasons, there's other mason types, but unfortunately, I am not privy to trade, so apologies for not knowing the names. Also, just for context, Mariah's animals have resulted to just literally wanting to like lay on her. And she's just like sitting here trying to listen to me like tell this podcast while this cat is like putting his ass in Milo's face and like snuggling up to her neck. And
Did
now
you
he's
see his
gone.
paw on my cheek? He
He
literally had
just
his paw pressed against my cheek, like, don't let this fucking dog get near me.
he's like, save me.
Save me, mother.
Anyway, so naturally off topic here. So they began as these skilled builders. With the decline of cathedral building, though, as time went on, the focus of society shifted. So there wasn't no longer need for those builders. So today, Freemasons are social and philanthropy, but philanthropic
Girl, I
organization.
wouldn't know either.
Eh, I'm trying. Organization meant to make its members lead more virtuous, socially oriented lives. Traditionally, Freemason membership has only been open to men. In the group's 1723 constitutions, a kind of guidebook to these organizations by James Anderson, written under the alias of another word that I literally can't pronounce, of Grand Lodge of England, women and atheists were excluded along with enslaved people. So the Freemasons in general are grounded in enlightenment. The organization still conveys the core values, religious tolerance, thirst for knowledge, and social ability. And today, Freemasonry embodies values like religious tolerance, the pursuit of knowledge, and the importance of community. And I know Mariah's looking at me right now like, what the hell did I just talk about? So let's break
Yes,
it
that's
down a little bit
exactly what I
more.
was gonna say.
Yep.
She
So we're
knows me
going to,
so well, everybody.
and this is how I do my research. I'm like, what are the questions this girl is going to ask and how can I fucking sound smarter?
She's gonna say, what does all of that mean?
So let's go back. So I said that the Freemasons were grounded in enlightenment. So what is enlightenment and what the hell does this mean to the Freemasonry? So, known as the Age of Reason, the Enlightenment redefined politics, science, and society between 1685 and 1815. So, if we remember in history, when we were in, we didn't go to the same high school, but did you ever take like art history classes, or you would go to an art museum and they talk about the different genre styles? So like the Renaissance age, there were
Yeah.
certain artists that painted a specific way. So think of this, the Age of Reason, think of that and like a shift in like kind of the arts and the thought process and the creativity.
Okay.
Do you kind of get where I'm
Yeah, so just
going?
like so okay, another way to put this would this be like this is probably dumbed down a lot, but like the difference between the fucking 80s and like the 2000s.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
think of it at a different time. So it was known as the Age of Reason. So, and that's where a lot of people started to question, politics, science, and society in 1685 and all the way through 1815. The intellectual revolution birthed the ideals of rationality and progress, shaping the Freemasons' philosophies and their core belief in improving humanity through knowledge and morality. So during this, people started to kind of question their religion. So, as we know, like back in those days, religion and societal standards drove people's lives. That is literally
Oh
what you
God, yeah.
lived by. It's how you dressed, it's how you acted in public, it's how you painted when you were an artist or sculpted, whatever you were doing. So, during this process, people, specifically men, started to kind of have more reason and come up with different philosophies and ideas that kind of raged outside of those regular societal standards, which is how the Freemasonry kind of were born.
So it was just basically like some men that wanted to kind of go against the grain and like kind of form their own
Yeah.
societal
So yeah,
values.
and their own standard of living life and like the values that they lived by. So don't think of it necessarily as a religion. Think of it more as like basically like kind of really what it is, a group of like-minded individuals that kind of lived their life to a specific way and standard that didn't fit normal society. And everything was very secretive because they couldn't outwardly just say that, like, they're Freemasons because outside thinking with the Catholic Church, with the government, isn't always most liked. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
It's so weird though, because it does feel like a religion though.
It's
Because like if you're doing your own. Because I was gonna say, well, it's like a Mormon. Like they don't, you know what I mean? Like they're not.
think of them
But
like
they have theirs is a religion. So
right.
it's
Well, not uh, the people in like the backfields of um Pennsylvania and Ohio. Not a Mormon. What
I'm
are
trying to
the
think Amish.
Amish? That is not a religion. That is a group of individuals that have decided to live that life. I'm sure they have religion in their
I was gonna
community,
say I thought it
but
was a
Amish
religion.
people are not religious. Well, they're not, I shouldn't say that. They're not a religion. They're
Really? They don't
religious.
have their own like
I'm sure they're
religion.
I'm sure they're religious, maybe, and I'm sure it's tied closely to Catholicism. Maybe Amish is something we should cover as a topic
Yeah,
potentially.
because I feel kind of stupid right now. I'm like, is it? And people are probably like banging their heads, like Mariah, you dumb bitch. Like,
So, shout out to a
okay,
colleague at work today who wanted to listen to my podcast, and he's gonna listen to this episode and be like, "Why is this girl so fucking dumb?" I'm
no, literally, he's gonna be like, get that fucking bitch a history book.
oh,
But yeah, no. So if you are like, if it is just a way of living, you're basically telling me that the Freemasons were the original Amish people.
I wouldn't say that they were Amish, but
No, but
yeah, yeah,
the type of people, which
in a
came first,
way,
the chicken
yeah.
or the egg, the Amish or the Freemasons?
So the chicken or the egg. And I am going to jump around a little bit here because I do want to get through another quick part, which is a big part of Freemasons. And then I'm going to go a
Sure.
little bit more into history, which will, I think, shed more light into this. So
You got it.
I had mentioned that the Freemasons were very secretive and they weren't very, like, they didn't outwardly be like, oh my God, I'm a Freemason. This is the gang. This is the fraternity. Sorry, pardon, that I'm part of. So they had symbols that really spoke volumes to who they were.
It's a beer pong cup.
Actually, this is so I
Shut
did
up.
not know, but funny enough,
Okay.
so there are 15 top symbols that I wrote down, and I'm not sure we have enough time to go through all of them, but we're gonna try to get through some of them. So it's rich with visual symbols, and they have this varied meaning. So the all-seeing eye, Freemasons have long communicated using visual symbols drawn from tools of stonemasonry. The all-seeing eye, the eye of providence, while not designed by Masons, had been used by the group to represent the omniscience of God. And if we look at the all-seeing eye, it is the pyramid that also is on the back of the American $1 bill.
Girl, when you said, I was like, no, that's the Illuminati. So Megan made a pyramid like a triangle with her
Yes,
hand
but
and put
where
it
do
over
you
her head,
think?
and I'm
But
like,
where do you
that ain't
think
the
the?
dollar bill, baby. That's the Illuminati.
But where do you think the Illuminati got the symbol from?
The Freemasons?
Yes, they're very connected.
Oh my God, I
Freemasonry
am smart.
is the core umbrella, and then think of the Illuminati as a subsection of that.
Shut the fuck up. Sorry? The
Yes,
Freemasons are like behind the Illuminati?
they
They're like the
inspired.
creator.
They kind of like, yeah, they inspired it. Like, even though they didn't directly create it, they inspired this Illuminati. And you want to know? So, going back to what Mariah was just saying, I did on my forehead, I did I put my hands together to make a triangle. That is the traditional Illuminati symbol. All week, I have been seeing this symbol, and it's been freaking me the heck out. First time was when my boss was I told my boss that I was doing the Illuminati episode with for my next podcast topic, and he was like, "You want to know something creepy? My daughter keeps doing that symbol everywhere." And then I was at another event where my colleague was joking and did the symbol again. So I'm convinced something's happening. Something's phones are listening to us. I don't know what's going on. It's creepy.
I mean, a phone doing that wouldn't make your coworker think to do that. You know what I mean?
I know. It was just so strange. And like I'm sure that he was like just trying to be like funny, and like I don't even think he like meant it.
Maybe
And
he overheard
any
your conversation and everybody's trying to like fuck with you at work.
honestly, maybe. Who knows? Who knows? Because I always am asking for new ideas. I'm like, guys, what are some new topics that I can cover? So I'm getting some inspo
Beyonce,
in
Beyonce's not allowed into the Freemasons, right? I mean, like,
her and
I thought they
Jay-Z
were
are
all
literally
girls.
everyone
And
thinks that her and Jay-Z are in the Illuminati because they do the
oh well,
symbol.
no, they don't think, honey. They know. They lead it. But I'm just saying, I don't understand how they could be connected to the Freemasons because the Freemasons are supposed to be all men. At
So
least as far as I know from when I was in college, my friend that I was telling you about and his dad were like, no women allowed. So you can tell me if they were wrong and lying to me, but last time I checked,
historically, yes, but women in recent history have been seen to be part of it.
they've been
But
spotted like TMZ like spots them coming out of a coal meeting. I'm sorry, it's
right.
not a I don't want people to get upset by that. Whatever we want to call it,
Like I
frown.
don't yeah. Well, I don't know if it's like that, but I think according to my research, like in recent years, women are more welcomed than in the past. Yeah, traditionally it was always a men fraternity. So anyway, so the all-seeing eye, that's one of them. The square and compass, another known Freemason symbol, which depicts a builder's square joined by a compass. Again, if you just look up these pictures, which they will be on social media, I will be posting them. The letter G. It's this symbol, actually, funny enough, is kind of disputed. Some experts at MIT, funny enough, in our neck of the woods, believe that the G in the symbol's center represents geometry, a critical field to the first Freemasons, while others believe it represents God. So again, so going back, so Freemasons were also very educated people. They weren't just like a band of brothers that just were like, they're not like, if you think of a fraternity, it's not what you see today. That's not that type of fraternity. It is well educated men who are like, they believe a certain way and they're living a certain life because they ultimately believe in something,
Haha,
the
they believe in something, so it is a religion.
no, but they have similar. Oh
Megan's
my
like,
god,
I Megan's like, you're so lucky that we are talking through a computer screen because I would strangle your ass.
I literally would take that cord and wrap it around your neck. No, I'm kidding.
Choke me, daddy.
Yes. No, we're not going back to incognito. We're better
I
than
know, yeah, a
this.
little bit slipped out over there.
Whew. Um. I'm just going to list out some of the others. The Mesoic blazing star. In Masonry, men try to use knowledge to guide hit them. The star kind of represents this blazing against a dark night sky. The mosaic gavel. I'm bringing this up because the gavel is also the thing we also use in our court and law system. Our judge in any trial has a gavel. So that's the symbol. A sheaf of corn. So this is a.
I just was like, it was random.
I know. So corn was, part of their earnings. So it was kind of like a tax. So back in the day when people would trade, they would use dollar bills or money, they would use corn. Also, I apologize, people. I am getting over a little bit of a cold, so I am a little congested. The Acacia tree.
Corn is crazy.
Which that is like that really famous tree, like when people like look at really pretty like the tree symbols and the branches that are like going around everywhere. I don't know.
Isn't it on like one of the coins? I can't think of, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it's like a specific looking tree. Ark of the Covenant, which we know is in the Bible as God's promise to David, the Mosaic altar, like many religious entities, there's always an altar, but again, altars can be used for more than religious purposes. A cable tow, which is typically attached to a Freemason's robe. So again, they dressed a certain way, so they had specific ways that they dressed and everything, which we'll get into. This one's gonna make you laugh. The mosaic shoe. They had shoes.
I'm just stunned now. Why so many symbols? Oh my goodness.
The beehive, and these are only the fifth. Oh, the shoe. So a long time ago, people would confirm a verbal contract by taking off their shoe and giving it to the other person. Now, the mosaic shoe, also known as a blue slipper, is a symbolic confirmation that what has been said will be done. The beehive, which we all know what beehives are, this symbol is drawn from nature. So Masons were originally working men who were supposed to be as busy as bees. And the beehive symbolizes the industriousness of the lodge. There's specific coffins that are used for the Freemasons. So coffins, usually represent morality and that we're going to die someday. But within the world of Freemasonry, the meaning behind them can kind of get a little confusing. Sometimes coffins are represented with a sprig of acacia, which would depict immorality. Other times it had a 5-pointed star associated, meaning that behind the coffin there seems to be an interchangeable whatever context it's provided. So essentially that that means that depending on what the symbol on the coffin is could depict many meanings. So, and then the last thing is the 47th problem of Euclid, which is the Pythagorean theorem. And it's a symbolic of the need to square your square in everyday practice. It is like an actual math problem, funny enough.
I was going to say, I've literally heard of this. The
Pythagorean theorem. So this means to keep your life in order. Yep. So
you have to solve it in order to get in.
Yeah, right. So I kind of gave the symbols from like the most likely symbol you're gonna see in Freemasonry to the least. So as I continued, like for example, the coffins, even like the beehive, they are symbolic, but they also weren't necessarily like you look at that symbol and you're like immediately it's Freemasonry. Like you look at the all-seeing eye and the pyramid, like that's like that fraternity. Well, I know for you in this case, you didn't realize that it stemmed from Freemasonry, but no. What are you gonna do?
I thought it stemmed from Beyonce, that too.
So, all these symbols, to the Freemasons, they carry lessons for personal growth and virtuous living. So Even the beehive and the gavel and the coffin that you so laughed at, Mariah. They all have meaning, bro.
Okay, I didn't laugh at the coffin. Let's get you
Oh,
back straight. I
okay,
laughed
maybe
at the
not.
corn.
Okay, the corn was
They
kind of
were
funny.
doing corn.
So, let's talk about the Freemasonry and the Catholic Church since Mariah is convinced it's a religion. So, despite their spiritual focus, and that's the key word here, spiritual, Freemasons have long been at odds with the Catholic Church. So, in 1738, the Vatican condemned Freemasonry, labeling its secret rituals incompatible with church doctrine. And by the 19th century, they were branded the Synagogue of Satan. And even today, Catholic doctrine forbids Masonic membership, citing it a grave sin. So if you
That's
identify, yeah, so if you identify as that,
really.
it's a
It's
sin.
apparently a sin.
Yes.
That would make
Um,
sense why a branch of it, Illuminati, people say is like the
uh,
devil.
so yes. So, like I said, they were considered a synagogue of Satan, and being a Freemason was considered a grave sin. However, the church went even further, and in 1983, declaring their principles have always been considered irreconcilable with the doctrine of the church, and therefore membership in them remains forbidden. And this was in 1983. So I know, I guess, in hindsight, that is still a while ago, but that's still like recently enough where it wasn't like the 1600s. And
1983 is actually younger than my stepdad. Well, dad.
yeah,
It's younger than my dad, and it's also, well, it is a little.
like it's 40 years. Like I get it. 40, it's about 40 something years. So,
Wait. Yes, it's also younger than my mom, but my mom is older than my dad by a little bit.
well, we don't judge. Your mom's
Cougar.
hot. So they
Hated
also
that
went to
noise I
say
just
that
made. I apologize.
the faithful at this point, and this is to this day, this would still apply in 2024. If they enroll in Freemasonry, any Masonic associations, they are in a state of grave sin and may not receive the Holy Communion. So basically, you can't be Catholic if you're a Freemason. So that's the ties with the church. And beyond the symbols that I said, the Freemasons also would greet each other with intricate handshakes tied to their rank from apprentice to worshipful master. These subtle gestures, steeped in tradition, allow Masons to recognize each other without words, a practice that fuels the aura of exclusivity and mystery surrounding the fraternity. So today there are dozens of different secret handshakes within the Freemasonry that are used depending on the level of the Mason. So, for example, a worshipful master, and I'll go into what the different meaning of like the different levels that you can be.
Handshake.
Um,
Oh my God.
so so the worshipful master will use a different handshake than an entered apprentice. Using these greetings, brethren can identify a mason's rank without, like I said, uttering that word. So that's why these handshakes are a subtle way for brothers to greet and recognize each other, and also keep
Ways
their
can you have a different
exclusivity.
How many ways can you have a different handshake? Oh my God. I'm just like
So
thinking, like, what do I shake my hand with my middle finger? Like, you know what I mean? Like my little fingy. Like, what? What if I'm missing a finger? Like, come on, guys.
I'm sure that they were pretty like standard hand. I don't know. We don't know because it was that secretive. So my point is, so imagine stepping into this world where progress again. So beyond the handshakes and the symbols, progress isn't necessarily measured by wealth or status, but by personal growth, knowledge, and morality. So again, this goes back to like really what they're about. They're not like, the mafia. But I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that. So in Freemasonry, this journey unfolds through the three craft degrees, which I started to talk about, which you were laughing at, and then talked about the finger thing, each representing a step towards enlightenment, which we covered. We know what the enlightenment is. It's that question of knowledge and politics. and self-discovery. So, as I mentioned, we have the entered apprentice. This is the first step where every Mason begins. Just like an apprentice is in the stonemason guilds of the Middle Ages, this phase focuses on learning the foundational tools of the Freemasonry craft. It's time for preparation, where new members are introduced to the principles and values that will guide their path. Then they move up to a fellow craft, which is the second degree, symbolizing a deeper understanding and mastery of skills. This is the stage where the Mason starts to apply what they've learned, much like a medieval craftsman proving his worth among peers. The Master Mason, the final and highest degree in the craft, here the Mason is recognized for exceptional ability, not just in skill, but in understanding the moral and philosophical lessons that Freemasonry imparts. So these degrees aren't just ceremonial, which I'll get into. They are milestones in a journey of self-development. Each one is marked by rituals that bring Masons closer to the fraternity's ultimate goal, building a better self and, by extension, a better world. Dun dun dun!
That's the end goal.
That is the end goal.
Is self-development. So they are 20-year-old to 30-year-old women. And I say that because I am one. And I also am doing self-discovery and trying to be spiritual and make the world a better place.
Yeah,
so I am a Freemason.
I think
no, I'm going to take that back before I get
you're not. Because
I feel like that me saying that is very insulting, and they're like, we don't want her.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want her.
They would take one look at you and they would be like, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck out. So I think the idea around Freemasonry isn't like just anyone can be. You have to like take these steps, and I think you have to adhere by certain guidelines. So, and this is where we're actually, funny enough, getting into. So you have to abide by these principles. So at its heart, Freemasonry is a brotherhood built on timeless principles. It's a space where divisions are left at the door, allowing members to focus on what unites them. Let's kind of explore some of these values. First, being a moral code. Freemasons believe in living honorably, holding themselves to a standard of personal decency and responsibility. They are encouraged to turn principles into actions, practicing kindness and goodwill towards all. Charity. For the Freemasons, giving is more than just a duty. It's a way of life. They believe in promoting the welfare and happiness of mankind and finding fulfillment in acts of selflessness. Education. So I mentioned this earlier. Freemasonry is rooted in learning, using symbols and dynamic rituals to teach lessons about morality and brotherhood. Members are encouraged to expand their knowledge and understanding of the world. And Mariah kind of made a joke about this earlier, but they are religious, but they are not a religion. Freemasonry actually embraces the belief in a supreme being, but they remain non-sectarian. Its teaching, aligned with moral principles, comes to all faiths, emphasizing unity over division. So anyone with any background, religious background, well, except technically the Catholic Church, because they've banned Freemasonry. You could be a Protestant, Mariah, and I could be a Buddhist, and we could still be Freemasons, and we would focus more on the unity of humankind and human nature than just, okay, we're two different religions, we can't be friends, which is kind of what the world is, which is fucking stupid. But anyway. The Freemasons also believe in social responsibility. Freemasons will uphold values like truth, justice, and fraternity, and philanthropy. They encourage loyalty to one's country and respect for laws of the land. Freemasonry isn't tied to just one nationality or one ethnicity or one racial color, whatever. You could be from anywhere and be anyone from any part of the world and be a Freemason. Obviously, like I said, it was tied rootly with being traditionally a men's club, but over the years it has shifted where some women can enter into it. I don't know the specific guidelines into that, so if you're a woman and you want to be a Freemason, I encourage you to do what you feel is right in the world and do you, but I don't know how to get you there, so don't ask me. So, anyway... Freemasons are Non-political and non-sectarian. So in Masonic meetings, division topics like politics and religion are typically and strict not typically strictly avoided. Freemasonry focuses on the unity and fellowship, not debates or agendas. And again, they also focus on equality among members. Titles and wealth literally mean nothing. Second you enter that door, Masons are equal, whether they are kings or laborers united by their commitment to the fraternity's ideas. So, why did I bring this up, and why do Freemasons intrigue people? So, like, why are we even talking about this? So, perhaps it could be the fact that they're very secretive. The hidden handshakes, the cryptic symbols, which weirdly enough, like I said, why the hell do we have one of their symbols on the back of our American dollar bill? The air of exclusivity, we're women. We technically, for a while, weren't allowed to be a part of it. Why? What the fuck? Or maybe it's their perceived influence with their whispers and their hand in everything, from building America's capital to shaping world events, which, spoiler alert, Mariah's topic that she plans to cover in the next couple weeks is tied to my topic today. I will not be the one to reveal it, as it is her topic, but when you find out what it is and those gears start turning, you're going to be like, huh, kind of fucking weird. So, from my research, what I found is that Freemason symbols or handshakes, they intrigue people because they represent a sense of that secrecy and exclusivity stemming from the historical roots as a guild of stonemasons who use their methods to identify fellow members and protect trade secrets, creating an aura of mystery around the organization and its rituals. This allure is further amplified by the fact that the symbols are often interpreted with deeper philosophical meanings, sparking curiosity about the hidden knowledge and what they may represent. And girl, I can just fucking tell you, I took a philosophy class in college, and it was hard. Like, you had to think in so many different ways, and you had to find symbolism and meaning in like everything. And like looking back at it now is like that's probably what a lot this group is.
Philosophy classes are just basically girls on TikTok who
At
look at
this
like literally like his name was Sean Combs. She knows. You seen that?
girl, you know I don't use TikTok.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's like Bigfoot. We are the biggest
Oh my
Bigfoot
God, I
fans.
love Bigfoot. I literally thought I
We
saw him today on my way to work, and guess what it was?
What was it?
Swear to God, it was a tree that had fallen over. It was like the ground lifted up and like the
Oh,
tree
okay,
sunk.
yeah.
So it looked like a giant Bigfoot hunched over, and I was like,
You know, as you know, like my form of social media, like my go-to one is Facebook, and literally I keep seeing like articles to like next viral video, another Bigfoot video came out, and another one recently did came out, and I looked at it and it looked like, again, it's so hard. Like I really think it's like these people that are like dressing up in gorilla costumes and fucking with people. I'm very convinced of that.
I drove by an old middle school friend. He left, he went to a different high school, and swear to God, he has a giant ass Bigfoot cutout in his lawn. And I was like, that's iconic.
Honestly, if this podcast ever takes off and we ever get a studio, which would be heavenly, we are getting a giant Bigfoot cutout.
I
No
thought you were just
questions
gonna say the
asked.
whole studio would be just Bigfoot. Like,
It would be Bigfoot themed.
yeah. I still think that to this day is our highest, like, viewed and
I think it is the sad part. And
everybody
honest,
loves Bigfoot. I didn't realize how much of a thing he would be.
well, and I think like the why we do these podcasts, and I don't know, and I think you would agree with me, is like it's because we think about these things and we like to do research, and like they're intriguing topics. Like when you actually get into it, like aren't you ever just so tired of having very generic conversations with people? Like sometimes
Yeah.
you just want to like just dive into something like and really have a meaningful conversation with somebody,
My
which,
curiosity peaked. Meaningful conversation, Bigfoot.
yep, and that's where we are now. So, anyway, naturally off topic again. So, next part is why do the Freemasons fucking matter?
Hey,
So,
quick question that's not really, I don't think I'm cutting you off. I really don't, because I don't think you're gonna cover this. Hey, okay. Hypothetically, you know somebody who's a Freemason in this current day and age, and he cheats on his girlfriend. That is considered a no-no in Freemasonry, is it not? Wouldn't you
I
say?
I would say
Based
it's not specifically written out in their code, but I would probably say yeah, it's probably against their moral principle because I think ultimately you're trying to be a better version of yourself and that would be against your self-development by unless they could plead their case as to how it could help with their self-development.
And wouldn't you say that dating somebody underage would be a no-no?
You want to know something too? Is I kind of feel like this is code for something, which we will get into later. But with that said, absolutely.
No, it's not just that person I was telling you about. Like he did that. He cheated on his girlfriend and he then started dating a little girl.
Oh,
Well, not a little girl, let's not go crazy, but like she was underage.
okay, Ed Warren.
Yeah, literally. And I guess I was curious like if there's a punishment like that happens, like if you fuck up, like did they even disclose it? Because I know they're super secretive and you don't even know, like you can't know a lot because they will not go into it. But I'm like kind of curious, like would he get a spanking?
You want to know something kind of funny? So, I want to actually, before I answer that question, I want to tell you a story
Oh, goody.
because I think this may have a little help into answering what they do to people who go against them or something
Oh
like
God.
that.
Okay.
So let's set the stage a little bit. It's early 19th century in America. Whispers of a secret handshakes, those hidden rituals, making people a little uneasy. And in 1828, the fears gave rise to an anti-Masonic party, the first third party in U.S. history. Why? Many believed the Freemasons have grown too secretive, too powerful,
Hmm.
and too influential in shaping society. At the heart of this movement was the mysterious disappearance of a man named William Morgan. In 1826, William Morgan, a drifter and a well known troublemaker, vanished under suspicious circumstances. Morgan had allegedly infiltrated the Freemasons and planned to publish a tell all expose revealing their secrets. Local Masons, alarmed by this betrayal, harassed him relentlessly. After being jailed on dubious charges, Morgan was bailed out by a group of Masons, but instead of finding freedom, he was whisked away, never to be seen again. His disappearance sparked outrage, fueling anti Masoic sentiment that rippled across the country. What began as a local controversy evolved into a national movement that rocked one of history's most enigmatic secret societies and changed American politics forever.
Ew, that
So,
creeps me out.
so just to kind of give you a little insight, if you fuck with them, they fuck with you. So
Okay.
I wanna say that yeah, they probably don't take too kindly to people who do not abide by their code or infiltrate their secrets.
But it sounds more like if you're
This
part
guy
of the
wasn't in it.
right, if you're part of the group, I don't think they're gonna whisk you away and like shoo you off into Bigfoot camp, Bigfoot territory, because that's what it sounds like happened. But I think that I feel like they'll give you a little booty tapping or something. I really do think that.
Yeah, or like a demotion of
I
your
could see
rank.
demotion. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And truthfully, that is actually a question I don't have an answer for today, so I do apologize for that, but that is a really good point. And
Well,
honestly,
no, you couldn't anyway because no one can. You just gave the reason why you can't give an answer.
yeah, exactly. It's like truthfully, that's literally the case of like the Freemasons, and that's why it's so kind of crazy is, yeah, there wasn't like a lot of the research that I did, I felt was very repetitive. So I tried really hard not to make it repetitive, which is sometimes hard. But yeah,
I don't feel
it's
you
there.
did like
Oh, well,
make it
that's good.
repetitive.
So leading into so again, so that was kind of like a case of William Morgan, and this is kind of all speculation because like I don't think anyone truly knows what happened to him, and it could have been a total accident because they never found him. So the case was never solved. So for centuries, Freemasonry has been a lightning rod for suspicion and speculation, and the secrecy of their rituals, the symbols they display, and the powerful figures among their ranks have fueled the fire. Some of the most persistent conspiracy theories, these include Jewish control, rooted in fabricated documents like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. This theory falsifies claims of Jewish infiltration of Freemasonry, belief that even influenced Hitler. Again, this is from all research, just PSA. This is not me saying this.
Yeah, I was gonna
Communists.
say 'cause the people I do know that were are in it, they're actually Jewish. So
And yeah, and this is
that
why
might
this
be
is like so. One of the conspiracy theories is that Jewish control. Another conspiracy is the communist ties, which, again, Mason Masonic roots are rooted in non-political beliefs, so these are very political. So it's kind of funny how they kind of came about. Spanish dictator Francisco Franco believed Freemasonry conspired with the communists to undermine his reign. So, he spread propaganda. Links to the Illuminati. Freemasonry is often linked to the Illuminati, fueling theories of a shadowy global network pulling the strings behind world events. Descendants of the Knights of Templar, which crazy connection here too. If you guys remember our Christmas episode of Krampus, part of his legend was, oh wait, no. The I think it was, yeah,
it beats the math.
was oh wait, no, I think I'm confusing a couple different
Krampus?
conspiracies. I thought there was a connection of the descendants of the Knights of Templar and Krampus, but now I'm thinking there is connections between the Quinta da Regaleira where I visited and the Knights of Templar. So I do apologize for that. But some Freemasons claim ties to the Knights of Templar, adopting their symbols and terminology. No evidence of a direct connection, though. Symbols in plain sight. So let's talk about we have the American dollar bill. Who approved that design? And why did they choose that symbol? Washington, D.C.'s layout. Many believe Freemason symbols are literally hidden in plain view and influencing everything from government to culture. So, again, that's also because this group is built off of secrecy and mystery. So these are all conspiracies that people came up with. But here's a crazy thing. George Washington. Did you know that he was a master mason? When he laid the cornerstone of the U.S. Capitol, he performed a mosaic ritual, donning an apron and consecrating the stone with wine, corn, and oil. To Washington, these ceremonies were more than tradition. They were vital symbols of unity and sacred purpose for a fledgling republic. Freemasons influenced and there Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, Mozart, Buzz Aldrin, and even Duke Ellington counted themselves among the ranks. And from founding fathers to these cultural icons, Masons have woven themselves into the fabric of our literal overall fucking history. The streets of Washington, D.C., according to a researcher who talked about this topic.
Just a researcher.
Well, honestly, so
No, it's fine.
I went on a tangent, and I think I need to almost cut it there and be like,
You're
oh.
good.
So the streets of Washington, D.C., according to this person, don't actually hold secret messages in their layout, as some theorists claim, but Masonic symbols like the square and the compass are embedded in plain sight. These public displays reinforce the idea of Freemasonry was not only an integral part of the nation's founding, but also steeped in ritual and ceremony. So that's another thing. So last section, and so sorry that I'm going off on a tangent here. So modern Freemasonry welcomes members from all walks of life. So that's what I mean by you can have a woman, provided they can pay annual dues. So now it's kind of turned into like you
Ooh.
pay into the society. Organization isn't as universal as it claims. Women are also often regulated to affiliate with these organizations, and like the Order of the Eastern Star, and many lodges still exclude atheists, though. In the US, the lack of national governing body allows for significant variation, while some lodges embrace inclusivity. Others, particularly in the South, remain segregated, meaning certain people of racial identity are not welcome. But
Damn.
yes, so um,
Not
other
very
people,
accepting.
I know. So I want to also mention that Gerald Ford, Wolfgang Mozart, I said, Davy Crockett, Nat King Cole, and I mentioned Buzz Aldrin. They were also Freemasons, so few that I didn't mention before. Um, so all of this is leading into my trip to Portugal and the castle I visited that were actually built by the Freemasons. So one of the earliest Masonic lodges in Portugal was the Lodge of Heretical Merchants, and it was founded by British traders in Lisbon in 1727.
Yeah, to tickle.
So that was the first uh, said time that masonry kind of was approached in Portugal, and then obviously when they collided with the Catholic Church, there was a lot of changes, and that was across the global, not just in one specific country. So the most prominent sites in Portugal associated with Freemasonry is actually the Grêmio Listanzo, which I didn't actually visit, um, and several other places that I cannot pronounce. So just look up Freemasonry in Portugal and they'll give you the places. So the Quinta da Regaleira in Sintra, where I was, is technically not explicitly confirmed to be a Masonic site, but the estate features intricate architecture and symbolism that some interpret to have in Masonic connections, particularly the initiation well. So to end this podcast, I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the crazy journey I had, and we'll see how much time we can fit into this. But at this estate, there were a lot of symbols everywhere, and it literally just looked like out of a garden. Like every stone was covered in moss and like beautiful plants and flowers, and you were able to go inside these little caves and things. And there was this one thing called the initiation well, which I will post on our social media, which is like a 5-story well that you walk down a spiral staircase. And the idea back in the day when the Freemasons were supposedly at this castle to be part of the Freemasons, you had to go through an initiation ceremony. So you had to walk down this well, and then you had to walk across these stones that were in a pond. And the idea was that you were walking down and you were walking in like on water. Ugh, again, so sorry guys. We really have to get an updated Zoom situation so we can record without any issues. One of these days, one of these days. So the last part, and I kind of just touched upon it, and I kind of started losing my train of thought. So, which would be the encounter with kind of my journey to the Quinta da Regalia, which it's not confirmed as a Masonic site. I did start to talk about the initiation well, which was built, and we know for a fact, based on the history and the research that's been done, that it has been used for ceremony and specific rituals. As to what they were, I mean, they date back to the Knights of Templar, who I had mentioned earlier, who have some influence into Freemasonry. But Just to give you some facts and specifics, the Quinta da Regaleira, which is located in Sintra, Portugal, was built in the late 1800s by Antonio Augusto de Calvero Monteiro, which, goddamn, I guess there's just long names in the past. He was a wealthy philanthropist and a Freemason, and this estate is more than just a collection of buildings. It's a masterpiece of symbolism, philosophy, and imagination, which I started to describe a little bit earlier. It literally kind of felt like you were walking into a fairy tale because there was moss on every stone. Just the pictures just don't do it justice. It was just such a beautiful sight. The cobblestone streets, I mean, the greenery, it was just it was nothing like the US, let me just say. And I
I believe
just
that.
it was amazing. It kind of just you knew it was one of those places where you know this wasn't just built to be built. This was built for a purpose, and that purpose is kind of lost to history a little bit. So, like I said, it wasn't confirmed that it was around Freemasonry, but to understand the history a little bit of the Quinta de Regalia, we have to go back a few centuries, more precisely to the 17th century. The available documentation is scarce, and nonetheless, it is known that Jose Letate acquired an extensive plot on the outskirts of town in Sintra, dating back in 1697, roughly corresponding to the current limits of this particular space that this building was built. A few years later, in 1715, the estate was purchased by Francisco Alberto de Castro and was named Quinta de Torre or Quinta de Castro. The new owner introduced running water to the estate from the spring on the Sintra Mountains. And then in 1830, the estate belonged to Manuel Bernardo Lopez Fernandez. And in 1840, it became the property of Esmeralda Allen, the daughter of a wealthy trader from Porto, later graced with the title of Baroness of Religara. According to folklore, which we love a good folklore,
Mm-hmm.
Quinta de Regala was thus named after this bonus. So in 1892, the barons of Regalia sold the property to the well-known the millionaire Antonio Augusto, who I had said who built it. He was born in Rio de Janeiro in 1848 to Portuguese parents. He soon left Brazil for Portugal, where he read the law at University of Coimbra, and as the owner of a considerable wealth, he acquired Sintra property to build this very special palace. So that's a little bit about the Quinta. But visiting it reminded me kind of just of the fact that history just isn't facts. It's kind of this alive, spacious area where I had the amazing opportunity to explore. And I thought it was just really cool to really finally have like a topic that I could talk about that I had a firsthand experience with, which was super awesome. And whether Freemasonry is, really the ties to the Quinta de Regalia, even knowing that there are whispers that it was built by Freemasons, and that it was used for Freemason rituals, it was still pretty cool to research. So anyway, so as we close this episode, I just wanted to say that I hope everyone enjoyed the Freemasonry history and my personal brief adventure to Portugal. It was a challenge to get through, but we did it. And, thanks for joining us, as always. So, Mariah, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I have been spitting them throughout this, like I'm a rapper over here. Like you were mid-sentence and I'm like, oh my God, Colt. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we got through it. Like originally I started off thinking like, oh my God, these people are so secretive, so scary. And then as you were talking about it, I felt bad about that opinion because you were like, oh yeah, they just want to be better people. I'm like, oh, relatable. And then you're like, yeah, and then there was this one guy who wanted to give away their secrets and they whisked him away. And I'm like, wait, but like, okay. Are they good or bad? I still don't know. Like,
And
I
like
feel like they're like meant to be good, but there's bad people in there, and I don't know.
that's like the whole mystery behind it. And that's why it's so interesting to me. And that's why I was so excited to cover this topic because, yeah, we don't really know. I mean, it's not like Bigfoot or, and honestly, Bigfoot, we don't know if he's real or not. But like, it's like
I
every
mean,
conspiracy, we cover. You never know.
like this one's pretty gray. Normally they're almost black and white, but this is kind of gray.
And I'm hoping that my next episode, which will be on the Illuminati, will give a little bit more insight into it and maybe answer some questions. And also, as always, we're always looking for, or at least I know I am, and I know Mariah would probably say yes to this too. We're always looking for feedback, obviously. So if there's a better way we should be covering this, please
If
let us
if
know.
you if you have like kind feedback,
Oh, give me, Megan, the brutal truth.
yeah,
Give Mariah kind feedback.
yeah. And by feedback I mean just give me compliments. I can't handle any feedback.
She can't. I literally live for feedback. I'm like, what do I need to do
Megan's really
better?
good at taking it, so give it to her.
Yeah. And then I'll just make sure that all the feedback is done in a very subtle way. So you're like taking it
Yeah,
as a compliment.
I'll
It'll
think
be
it's
great.
you. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. It'll be great. It'll be great. I love
All
it.
right, as always, you guys, keep it real, keep it freaky, keep
Keep
it
it
naturally.
naturally.
Oh, I thought you were gonna join me on that one.
I
You
tried. I tried so hard.